love the haunted museum when it's empty. It reminds me so much of us. Oh, look! Flim Flam! Remember him, Freddy? So tragic. Wow, I haven't seen...
Look away, Daphne. We all promised each other that we would never speak of him. Not ever.
For the longest time, traditional animation was the major form of animation in cinema. Even now, some of the most famous, successful, and well-known movies were hand-drawn, frame by frame. But now, 2D animated movies are almost nowhere to be found. As much as I love 3D animated films, and 3D animation as a whole, I can't help but want more traditionally drawn movies. And not just from Disney. I miss DreamWorks' 2D films. I miss 20th Century Fox's movies. There are some good 2D movies being made still, but I can't help but want more. There hasn't been any major 2D animated movies on the big screen in over a decade. Animation studios should bring back 2D animation, and not just for TV shows, but as major feature films that stand alongside 3D animated movies.
Trot out the ladies. Let's take a look-see. Hate your hair. Not likely. Yikes, 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 and let me guess, you have a great personality.
A major reason studios switch from 2D to 3D is because 3D movies seem to make more money. In the early 2000s, 2D animated movies like Treasure Planet and The Road to El Dorado did poorly at the box office, while 3D movies like Shrek and Finding Nemo did really well. Because of this, it seemed like audiences weren't interested in 2D animated movies anymore. After all, why would people want to watch another 2D film when they could try something new? Something they've never seen before. Feature-length 3D films were still a relatively new concept in the early 2000s. So it made sense that people at the time would want to watch something that has not only a good story, but also new tech advancements.
There's just a texture, a tactile like quality to it that you don't get in just plain animation, you know?
I was blown away. I'd never seen anything like that. I always loved the animations in fairy tale books, and now they had this 3D universe that I just didn't want to leave.
Many 2D animated films in the early 2000s were considered box office flops, so much that major film studios decided this was the end of 2D animation. Titan AE from Fox Animation did so poorly that it was the last project they ever produced. And this was the same company that made Anastasia. Disney's Home on the Range and DreamWorks' Sinbad also did so poorly that both studios decided to quit traditional animation altogether. But I don't think these movies did bad because they were traditionally animated. Some of these movies were just ahead of their time, and some of them were just not good, so they would have done poorly no matter what. There were also other factors that prevented 2D movies from doing as well as the studios wanted. For instance, Disney did eventually make a return to 2D animation, at least for a short time with Winnie the Pooh in 2011 and The Princess and the Frog in 2009. And again, these movies didn't make as much money as Disney's 3D movies at the time. This cemented the idea that 2D animation was over for good, and Disney hasn't made a feature-length 2D film since. The Princess and the Frog and Winnie the Pooh were considered huge flops, even though they are both well received by audiences and critics, and even though they made a lot more money than their budget. However, they were also at a disadvantage, not because they were in 2D, but because of their release dates. Winnie the Pooh, for example, came out at the same time as Harry Potter. And not just any Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the final film in a series with a huge, devoted fanbase. Putting Winnie the Pooh on the same day as Harry Potter was a death sentence. The same thing happened to The Princess and the Frog. It released on December 11, 2009. And guess what also released that same week? Avatar, the highest grossing film of all time. Compared to Tangled's release date, nothing in the scale of Avatar or Harry Potter was released, so there were no landslide competitions at the time. Don't get me wrong, I love Tangled. It's one of my favorite movies and it definitely deserved all of its success. I'm only saying that The Princess and the Frog and Winnie the Pooh could have also done well if they had been given better release dates, if they had been given a chance. Their failure at the box office was not because they were made with 2D animation.
Oh, bother. Double bother.
Another reason studios switched from 2D to 3D is for practical reasons. Although it might seem like traditional 2D animation is more difficult to do because it's hand-drawn, that's not true. Both 2D and 3D animation are extremely difficult, time-consuming processes. They both take a lot of effort, skill, and manpower. In fact, 3D animation is usually more expensive than 2D, so that isn't why some studios prefer 3D. However, in terms of quality control, 3D has more advantages than 2D. With 3D animation, it's easier to fix weaker parts of animation. You can add more keyframes, change the lighting, reposition the camera, and so on. You can make more critical changes later on if you need to. But with hand-drawn 2D animation, if there's a critical mistake or something that needs fixing, you'd have to go right back to the drawing board and restart a considerable amount of work. Because of this, there's more flexibility with 3D over 2D animation. However, a major reason studios went from 2D to 3D is because 2D is seen as outdated, while 3D is seen as a natural progression in animation, an improvement, like how color films replaced black and white films. Here's what the creators of The Swan Princess had to say about it.
I feel that the 2D has almost like a magic to it that your brain fills in. We were forced to go to CGI because that's where the world is going.
2D versus CGI. They get better every time we do it. If you look at 9, it's getting really close, and 10's going to be really fun.
People talk about 2D animation as if there's no need for it anymore, but there's something special about 2D animation. 2D animation looks so lively, so animated. 3D has this cool way of combining hyperrealism with stylistic character designs, but it doesn't give the same effect as 2D animation, at least not for me. In 2D films, there's a dreamlike quality to the backgrounds. The lighting and color palettes add to the feel of the movie. They know exactly what aspects of real life to highlight and what to leave out, bringing a unique balance between stylistic and realistic designs. And besides, they're really pretty and just so visually appealing. Here's a pencil test of Anna from Frozen.
Oh, I was mad. Mad. I was really, really mad. But I'm just happy you found me now.
Oh, right, sorry. Just need to get Thor hitched to the sleigh, not to a pretty reindeer bride.
This is just my personal opinion, but I prefer this style over the movie's actual style. Here, Anna's movements and facial expressions are vivid, dynamic. I love all the tiny imperfections in the frames. It only makes the clip more interesting. And these are the pencil tests for Moana.
I didn't mean you should get revenge. I just meant you should get off this island.
You will stay on this island. If your foot so much as touches the ocean, you will be punished.
I love how fluidly the characters move in these frames. Really, I love how 2D movies in general look. There's a certain charm to 2D that 3D just can't replicate. 2D has so much variety to it, a timeliness to it. Lots of older 3D movies tend to look outdated compared to newer ones, but traditionally drawn movies still hold up really well, even decades after they're released. Good drawings always look like good drawings, even years later. To me, saying 2D animation is outdated is the same as saying that books are old-fashioned. A while ago, people predicted that ebooks would replace all physical books, but that hasn't happened, and it probably never will. There's an aesthetic to physical books that can't be replicated with ebooks, no matter how practical ebooks are. And I feel it's the same with 2D animation. 3D animation can't offer all the things that 2D can. Again, I'm not saying that 2D is better than 3D. I just feel that 2D animation shouldn't be discarded or seen as outdated. Even 2D animated movies use 3D animation at times, and some 3D films are even taking on a 2D style now. Both are good. I just want to see 2D movies on the big screen again, alongside 3D animated films. I want film studios to bring back 2D animation. It's not a relic of the past. There's a magic to it that can never be replaced. Thank you for watching my video. I'd love to know what you think. Do you miss 2D animation? Do you prefer 3D? Or are you fine either way? Let me know in the comments.